Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It's Marvin speaking. We're just going to get straight into a video, and it's a reaction to how London gangs use teens for money laundering.
This pop up on your social media or been targeted in person, the people who respond to them or become targets to these criminal organisations are known as money mules. Their bank accounts are used to transfer cash and move money in a chain of transactions, making it more difficult for authorities to track.
If she told me it was like fraud or anything related to that, I would not have gone down that route. And I had no idea essentially what I was doing. Like, I was very naive. This was years ago. Like, I was like a child.
I would get to keep like £500 and then transfer the rest to another account. Looking back, it was just too good to be true.
They showed up at my house, banging on the door, wearing masks. They were shouting that we had to pay.
Because, like I said, these people want your address. They want, like I said, a picture of your driving license so they know where you live. So you've just basically given them something which gives them so much control. And you're just thinking, wow, at the end of the day, if I don't get the money out, then nothing will happen. But some of these gangs can say, look, you couldn't get the money out, so you've got to give me something for it. Whatever you got, and clear your own bank account out. This is why it's dangerous.
Hey.
These criminal organisations are recruiting teenagers as young as 14 years old, promising them fast cash. These criminal groups use them to move their dirty money through the banking system. In legal terms, this is money laundering, which, according to the Crown Prosecution Service, is defined as the process by which the proceeds of crime are converted into assets which appear to have a legitimate origin. For many young people in London, recruitment into financial crime starts in the most ordinary places, outside of school gates, at a bus stop, even on social media. How did it start for you?
This is the voice of a victim.
It was a friend of a friend telling me about this job. All I had to do was to let some money pass through my account. I would get to keep like £500 and then transfer the rest to another account. Looking back, it was just too good to be true.
This is not a new problem. London has been a hotspot for financial crime, according to recent research from Waitmans. 22% of frozen bank accounts belonging to money mules are held by people living in Greater London, an increase of 11% in the number of money mule cases reported, following a Lloyds Banking Group research. The City of London Police, in a statement, describes money laundering as the lifeblood of organised crime, allowing organised crime groups to enjoy the proceeds of their harmful criminal activity.
Because the thing is, these criminals aren't going to get done. All it is, you've done the transaction. So if anything happens, you get arrested or the bank starts asking you questions and calling the police, you've got to answer for it because, like I said, technically you signed up for moving that money and having money, large sums of money being paid into your bank account. Yeah, it could be 500 quid. But if you've not had large sums of money come to your bank account like that before, even 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and it looks dodgy to the bank, they're going to look into it.
Many young people across London say that they fell victim to the exact same kind of exploitation, and for them, the consequences have been life-changing. For those victims caught up in this exploitation, the first sign of trouble happens when their bank account suddenly stops working.
These are the voices of victims.
What exactly happened when you realised that your bank account had been frozen?
I thought it was just easy money, but when my account got blocked, everything changed. They showed up at my house, banging on the door, wearing masks. They were shouting that we had to pay. I was shaking. I've never been that scared in my life.
They showed up to my flat and they had knives and they basically forced their way in. Very confused at this point, and I was really scared. I knew something wrong was going on. They made me buy 3 Apple vouchers, give it to them. They said, you're not getting anything. If you go to the police, we will show up at your house. We will hurt you. We'll hurt your boyfriend. And then my bank account got blocked by the bank for fraud. Traumatized me for a long time. I didn't leave the house for a week because of what had happened. And obviously it affected my credit score, my ability to open up other banks.
Well, this is a problem. You're going to find it very, very hard for a couple of years to open another bank account, and then the bank's got to learn to trust you again. And if you want to buy a house, it could affect that. or even a business line of work where you want to open a business account or something, because that's on your file, your credit file.
Bank accounts, like, it was awful. And I obviously got nothing to show for it except for trauma.
For the families of young people caught up in these schemes, the challenges continue even after the money is gone.
Got home, said they come in there. I said, who's coming? Said, the people then. طلع ورا هي just knock on the door. Yes, وكان في said how your son we gave him money, want it back. So I said, how much it is? He said £500. It's too much for you to have £500, but I don't need them back so much. There's free then, had a clever. So I went and grabbed my phone and I sent them the money straight away. They give me a bank account, obviously it's not theirs. And off they go, they went. That night, they didn't sleep, they didn't eat. And he stole one, it wasn't my son, wasn't himself.
To parents, discovering that their child has been caught up in a financial crime can bring legal challenges and long-term implications for their future. But behind the scenes, safeguarding experts warn that the exploitation of vulnerable children is becoming increasingly common, with financial exploitation often going underreported.
So with children, they might find that it's a quicker journey than it would be with an adult. So they tend to gain trust initially. So they present as someone who's going to be a friend or helpful, or it might be a romantic relationship. So they gain the trust first and then generally start the exploitative behaviour.
Very, very interesting stuff. And like I said, that was by the City News as well. And it's very, very insightful into just basically wanting some extra money where that young person's not working. They find it hard to cash. They want to make some easy money. But like I said, these gangs are exploiting you because they've got your address, because you have to give them your bank card. Technically, that you don't run off with their money. And they've got your driving license, or they've got an address for you as well. Picture, basically, ID of you and your address. And this is where basically you've signed up. You could very well say, no, I don't want to do it now, but it's too late, because they can say to you, look, we're already trying to put money into your bank account and you've got to take it out. And if you don't, there's going to be a problem. And like I said, if you've got masked guys turning up at your place at the end of the day, you're going to likely to give them something just to, you can go to the police. But if they're basically saying, right, we'll see you on the street as a youngster, you're going to worry. So you're going to hand over something, because like I said, you signed up for something that you didn't really know about, where you could said, nah, there's something dodgy about this. Stay 100 miles away from it. Let's move on. This is very, very interesting because, like I said, we hear a lot of these weed cafes in Tenerife, and also businesses set up to launder money. But some of these businesses sometimes are dormant, and they're just used to transfer money because it is a business, because they've got a business account linked to that property, say.
Pub or restaurant
premises
could be used to launder money for educational purposes only. But this has nothing to do with tokens, it's just something that gets requested a lot in the comments. Okay, so you've got a huge bag of cash that you've made from whatever it is that you're doing. Your next job is to turn that into something that you can use in a real way. That's buying properties, paying for private schools, making legitimate investments, stuff to actually protect your wealth instead of just blowing it all. And to do any of that, you need legitimate looking funds in a bank account. And that's where your club owner friend can help you. His job is to take a bag of your dirty cash and find a way to mix it with the money that his real customers are spending anyway. Let's say you give him a bag with 100 grand cash in it. And in his club, the best VIP tables have a 5 grand minimum spend. And let's also say he's got 10 tables at that price. Here are 2 things he could do to help you. If you've been to a club in a major city, you've seen some of this. And some of this. There's always some ballers in the club who have ordered 10 bottles of Dom Perignon at once. But not all is as it seems. They might have only actually ordered 2 bottles costing £500 each. But to encourage them to spend more, the club promoters might give them a bottle show like they ordered 10. And then when the sparklers go out, the remaining 8 bottles get taken back into the bar. So your club...
Interesting. So it's a bit of a show to thinking, look, there's lots of money being spent in this club. So people are going to think, like I said, the people who are looking at it are going to think, God, those people are got dollars. They're lit, as the youngsters call it today. Do you know what I mean? They've got really something going for them. Do you know what I mean? That the millionaires, the people that got big businesses and flash cars. This is how it seems to people from the outside, but there's more going on in the inside.
Owner mate could do this, but then actually record the sale as though they ordered 10 bottles. So when the customer has only spent £1,000, it'll be recorded as though they spent 5. And if any evidence is ever needed, there's CCTV footage of those bottles being delivered to that table. So when that table pays their bill, the club takes
CCTV images that those bottles got delivered to that table. Wow. Isn't it funny? Sort of everything is like CCTV active now at the end of the day. So these businesses are clever because, like I said, they have backed up what was taken to that table. And like I said, and also if you've got access to the CCTV as well, you can turn it off as well.
£1,000 of their actual bill. Then in the back office, they add £4,000 of your dirty cash and then put the whole lot together in the safe. Then at the end of the night, this guy comes along and puts all that cash in an armoured van and gets it deposited straight into the bank completely legitimately. But remember, your mate's got 10 tables and he could do this with all of them, allowing him to launder up to 40 grand per night. And the second thing your club owner friend could do for you is to just fake the whole thing and allowing fake customers to come in with 5 grand each of your dirty money, which will allow him to clean up to 50 grand per night. Now, in my opinion, a nightclub is a bad business for a money launderer who's trying to make a career out of it. That's why it doesn't really feature in Tokens, the TV series that I'm producing. It's because to scale, you need multiple locations, which means loads of upfront investment trying to make a club look all nice. And if you've only got one location, you're very limited as to how much cash you can really clean. Obviously, your nightclub can't be claiming to turn over £50 million per year. Now, that doesn't mean that nightclubs aren't used to launder money, but it's more if money laundering is your side hustle or if you're trying to supplement a failing club. Hypothetically, of course. Follow me for more.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I've seen some bars and clubs in my area in London which are struggling, and I'm sometimes wondering how they're surviving, and restaurants, and I was thinking, but there's nobody going in there, and the rent and business rates are really, really high near Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? And it's absolutely crazy how they're surviving. I know some businesses got more than one business, and they sometimes use the good business to supplement the business that are struggling. But this is kind of clever in the way that they do things. Let me know what you think, people. I thought that was really, really interesting stuff. This is interesting. We've got someone really explaining the real life example of money laundering. This is an interesting story. Let's get straight into this.
Today I'll be talking about the UK biggest money laundering case ever. Now, I am talking about a real life situation where about £266 million were laundered through a West Yorkshire jewelry business. So, stay connected, find out what they really did, how they did it, and what actually went wrong. Okay? So, let's dive into it. So, 4 individuals were convicted in this massive case. Now, they managed to funnel £266 million through a jewelry business called the Fowler Oldfield in Bradford.
266 mil.
Cash was actually moved daily from cities like Glasgow, like Manchester, and Merseyside. And get this, the money was actually stuffed in sport bags, in shopping bags, and even takeaway containers. Right? So, what was the operation like? What really happened? Now, at its peak of this operation, the operation was processing an average of £1.7 million a day. 1.7 million per day flowing through Fowler Oldfield. Now, how did they do it? Now, what the criminals did was they turned converted dirty cash into gold grains, making it nearly untraceable. I mean, that's the definition of money laundering. They turned legitimate businesses into fronts for laundering money. So, I guess let's now discuss what exactly was the bank's role, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and mention the bank in question. Now, here's where things get more interesting. NatWest Bank was fined
265
million pounds in 2021 for failing to detect about 365 million pounds in deposits linked to this scheme. Now, this case is actually in the news. It's a huge reminder of how
One of the problems is there's that much money sort of coming into the bank at the end of the day, which they want profits. And sometimes that's all they care about at the end of the day, especially if it's a legitimate business like a jewelry shop that makes a lot of money anyway.
how financial institutions play a critical role in detecting and preventing money laundering. So, without a strong AML oversight, financial crime thrives, right? So, it's really, really important that businesses and staffs are aware. So, I guess the interesting question is how did they really get caught, right? Now, surveillance and forensic analysis revealed that the operation was processing massive amounts of cash daily. Couriers were delivering money in all sorts of containers, and the good thing
Got greedy. The business got too greedy that they thought that they were above the law.
is the
Always goes that way.
CCTV footage actually captured them offloading heavy bags filled with illicit cash. Now, this cash in question was meticulously counted. They literally in the room counting this cash using professional grade machines before being deposited into bank accounts. Very interesting. I'd advise everyone to go read more about this event that occurred. Now, what are the red flags and what are the investigations that actually took place? Now, it all started, I believe, it started to fall apart in 2014 when Fala Holdfield's account showed an exponential surge in cash deposits. Now, that's transaction monitoring for you. Now, we're talking from just over £11,000 in 2012 to £650,000 in 2013.
Got greedy. Got really, really greedy. The company that they thought that they could get away with it because nobody was saying to them there were no comebacks.
And then an insane £95 million in 2015.
What?
Now, this sudden spike raised red flags, and the cash in transit company alerted authorities in 2016. Now, if this is not a suspicious activity, I don't know what is. So how did they really hide the money? Now, to further hide the origin of the funds, the laundered money was used to buy gold grain. Now, gold grain, very easy to transport and more difficult to trace than bullions. Investigators at the time, they believed much of this gold was smuggled out of the UK. Very, very interesting case scenario. They could ask this in interview questions, guys. Now, what was the communication that took place? The criminals in questions, they used highly encrypted communication methods, coded messages, got passwords,
satellite
physical
phones and
tokens to verify identities before cash is handed over. And the most interesting part of it, another interesting part of it is they even employed security experts to check for bugging or tracking devices.
Obviously, they would have had the money to do that as well. They weren't taking any chance. This was. They were professional. They knew what they were doing. But like I said, they got greedy.
In the professional nature of the operation, you'll be surprised how far these guys would go to actually launder money. Right?
Greed.
Now, I guess let's talk about the impact of this crime. Now, I believe the constable at the time at West Yorkshire Police, I think, reading at the case, I believe they emphasized that the gravity of the case linking the laundered money to organized crime, including drug trafficking and other criminal activities. It was a sophisticated operation, right, designed to launder vast sum of criminal cash under to make it look legitimate. To be honest,
that's the game.
So again, this is a very real case scenario. I would advise a lot of people around AML field to go read it. Now, what investigations actually took place? It was a meticulous investigation by the West Yorkshire Police. Well, it involved about 8,000 hours of CCTV footage, forensic examination of financial records,
These bags of money coming in,
extensive surveillance.
Every day is a problem.
Now, I also believe, if I'm not wrong, in September 2016, a raid on Fowler Hotfield's premises led to the seizure of £2.1 million
in cash on the premises.
In cash, just sitting around. So, what was the verdict? By the time everything ended in court, what was the verdict? Now, the 4 convicted individuals, again, guys, you can go read about it. I'm not going to mention names. The 4 individuals are now facing sentencing, I believe. Now, authorities are also pursuing confiscation proceedings to ensure that they do not benefit from their crimes. Again, guys, this case is one of the largest money laundering prosecutions ever brought in England and Wales. And during your interviews, you might be asked to give examples of money laundering, how it happens. So again, this is a very good example that you can actually use during interviews. So what can we really learn from this? Criminals that would always exploit system vulnerabilities, and weak controls lead to costly penalties. Again, take NatWest for instance, and how much they were fined. Very, very important for financial institutions. They must have a strong AML oversight to prevent such cases from happening.
Yeah, but like I said, when it comes to a hell of a lot of money, people turn blind eyes, even banks. I know cases of that through high-profile criminals that were laundering money through banks. And there's always some banker or manager or supervisor that's going to take backhanders because of the amount of money come in. They see it as everyone's benefit until the police get involved.
Okay, especially in this day and age with AI around the corner again, they should provide themselves with AI-driven AML solutions, automating risk assessment and real-time monitoring to help businesses detect risk before it's too late. Okay, now again, guys, this is a very good example. Let's stay vigilant. Raise any suspicious activities if you work in any financial institutions. And this is a very good example I thought I should give in case you are having interviews and they ask you to give an example of money laundering. I hope this video helps. Please don't forget to follow, like, and share, and subscribe to my channel so I can give you more examples and help with interviews.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant guy. Came across really, really well there. Interesting stuff. Because like I said, I think people are enticed, whether they work for legitimate business like banks or high-powered establishments at the end of the day. There's some people that will do things for the right price, but we know it's no good, whether it's trafficking, whether it's, I think people are more desperate than they were, say, 10, 15 years ago, I think, to get any amount of money quickly. And some young people don't want to wait for it. They don't want to work for it. And they certainly don't want to do a paper round or work in a cafe or a restaurant because they think it's beneath them. But they're a serious problem. Obviously, this was a seriously high thought out case due for jewelry businesses because it was a jewelry business and it was probably quite established. I think the bank turned a blind eye to it in the money they were making as well. Let me know what you think, people. I thought that was really, really interesting. Thank you very much indeed. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and this guy here, Sibi. Thank you.